Join Coach Ryan as he unveils the insightful Veterinary Hero segment. Stay tuned.
Segment of Athletic Conceptual Training. I hope that you enjoy this wonderful interview and learn lots. Don't forget, like, subscribe so that we can keep this going. Thanks again. Have a good time.
Today on Athletic Conceptual Training, we're honored to spotlight a leader in veterinary medicine. Our guest is a hospital manager from the Veterinary Emergency Group, a company transforming the ER experience for both pets and people. From managing high-pressure environments to leading compassionate care teams, today's conversation highlights the wins, lessons, and leadership that define modern veterinary excellence. Let's dive in. Thank you for joining, Melanie.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Just jumping right in, can you share your journey into veterinary medicine and what inspired you to step into a leadership role?
Sure. It all started for me probably like most of us as a child, this desire to, do things with animals and be with animals. We loved animals. And that's how it all started for me. And, I started at the age of 14 working in a clinic as kennel student. And that's where I just fell in love with vet med in general. Went to school, got my, it was called veterinary technology back in the day. I was an animal health technician. There was no such thing as RVTs back then. Doing this for 38 years now. Since I graduated, so even longer if you count the kennel tech. I went to school and, continued working in hospitals, and I worked for about 1 year in a GP practice, and quickly discovered that was not for me. It was too boring, and I needed more excitement. So I moved quickly into ER and fell in love. And that's where my journey has been really for all these years. I was a nurse for many, many years, working in academia, working in emergency hospitals. I did a little bit of shelter med stuff. But really I was working, and it wasn't until I came to California, because originally from Canada, it wasn't until I came to California and was working as an overnight ICU tech, that I saw what good leaders could do for their team and what not so good leaders did for their team. And the opportunity just came up that I was kind of moving up the ladder, and the opportunity came up for me to take on a leadership role, which I did. And my goal in that was to be one of those leaders that could be with their team, stand beside their team, cover over their team, and help people be the best that they could possibly be. And that was my desire to get into leadership, was to help these teams be the best that they can be.
I really love that. And I can speak from personal experience. Some of my best times were when you were in leadership. What drew you to the culture and mission of Veterinary Emergency Group specifically?
I think when we all first heard about this open concept hospital that was coming to California, we were all like, what? How is that going? And I know I felt the same way. I was like, that's crazy. You're going to do stuff in front of owners, and owners are going to be there. But it was intriguing at the same time. I was curious to see how that was going to work. And, our first hospital in NorCal opened, about four and a half years ago now. And I heard nothing but great things about what they were doing. And I needed to go see it for myself, basically. And when I went in to that hospital the very first time, and I watched it all unfold in front of me, I could not believe how well it worked and how much calmer the environment was than anything I had ever worked in before. Clients are calmer, animals are calmer. The actual environment nurses, doctors. There's a lot of collaboration going on. People can see everything that's happening. It just worked.
Yeah.
So, open concept was, once I actually saw it for myself, that was a big draw, a big
Yeah.
draw. The other thing that really drew me to VEG in particular was this culture that they had. They claimed to have this non-toxic, great culture where everybody was actually happy to come to work. And I had worked in a lot of places where that was not the case. And I don't know, vet med is a very toxic environment for some reason, and we like to beat each other up. And it's unfortunate. And people unfortunately get away with those behaviors. And so when I actually saw what VEG was doing and promoting this culture of belonging and well-being and you know having a good time, we want this to be your last stop in your journey, right? Because a lot of people clinic hop because of culture a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and that really intrigued me as well, and I wanted to know more about that. How did these people make this happen? How did that happen? And the opportunity came up. I got a text message literally one day, and I got something for you. Are you interested? And my response was, "Talk to me, friend." And that was the beginning of my journey.
Yeah.
I was asked to come and run this new hospital that was going to be opening up, and I did not hesitate. Did
Yeah.
not hesitate.
That's amazing. What does a day in the life look like for you as a hospital manager at VEG?
Ah. It's been interesting, actually. We've been open here at the Pleasant Hill location since a year ago, February, so just over a year now. When we initially opened, because of my background in nursing and management, are all of the people as well. Um,
Mm,
so my life now with a nurse manager is actually quite different than my life was previously.
yeah.
When started. So, you know, things can be, I juggle operations, obviously, things break down, things need fixing, we need pest control. I handle those things. Um, Equipment breaks, I handle those things. Dealing with some vendors, handle those things. Finances. Ultimately, it's my responsibility to make sure our P&Ls look good for this hospital, and work with other people to make sure that that happens. Um, some days it's firefighting.
Yeah.
uh, Power goes out. And who do they look to? They're going to look to me as the leader of this hospital to get them through that.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of days I find that I am a counselor,
Yeah.
um, you know, um, and just somebody for everybody to talk to. If they're having a particularly hard day, having a tough time with something, I want to be that person that they feel they have a safe space coming to and can
Yeah.
talk to me.
I love that. How do you balance the emotional and logistical demands of running an emergency hospital?
It can be tough.
Yeah.
Like I said, for the first year, it was tough because I was basically had to be switched on 24/7 to this hospital. I did have help. I did have other leadership in the hospital, and we would, try and balance things the best we could. But we were two people, right? Trying to
Yeah.
take care of this big, bright, shiny new hospital and all the people in it. Um, so, having some kind of not rules, but just kind of can't think of the word I'm looking for. Sorry. Structure to my
Hmm.
day. certain things that I knew I had to do, and I would leave time for the things that I didn't know were going to happen, right? I
Yeah.
would rely on my other leadership,
Yeah.
my medical director, my market owner. I would rely on them a lot too if I needed the help. Um, you know, it's now we have a more robust leadership team here, and so the duties are spread, a lot better than they originally were. So it's become a lot easier. I can actually have, you know, a work-life balance again because I'm not having to be on
Yeah.
24/7. My nurse manager takes care of, a lot of the nursing issues, and that was a big portion of this job. I also realize that that's such a big portion that I don't want him to get burned out by it. And
Yeah.
so we'll split tasks. If he needs a break
Hmm.
and he needs a couple of days off, I'll take over, and we just communicate to the team. If you have anything, you're connecting with Mel this week. If you don't, you know if it's not Mel, it's going to be Ben.
That's amazing. What systems or values have you implemented to create a strong and resilient culture? And it sounds like you kind of touched on that um, towards the end of the last answer, which was strong communication. Anything else that you would add
Yeah,
to that?
yeah, strong communication is key for sure. And just openness, really openness. And um i I'm very vulnerable in this position. I'm very vulnerable with my staff, and we're all human, and a lot of them in turn have learned that I'm a safe space for them. And I think a lot of them look at me as mom.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they do, that they feel safe and that they can come and talk to me when they need to talk to me. And I recognize that we're all human. We all have lives outside of here. There's stuff that goes on. And I I am the first one to understand those things for them. And I think that helps because they realize it's not just I'm not just no, no, no. We can
Yeah.
we can bend the rules to make things work for people.
Yeah. Can you share a
Yeah,
memorable
and
story? Oh, I'm sorry. Can you share a
sorry, I was
memorable
just,
Can you share a memorable story of how your team handled a critical case with exceptional care?
yeah. We had one just recently, actually. It was a dog that had gotten into a neurotoxic plant. Um,
Okay.
Came in quite bad shape. Needed to be on basically a midazolam CRI because it was continually seizing. And it was a table case for us. And I watched that pet come through the door, get immediately taken care of. People just jumped to whatever they needed to do for not only the pet, but for the owner in this scenario.
Hmm.
And when it came to the fact that the dog was going to need a neurologist, which, we don't have on staff here, um, we made the phone calls. We found a neurologist. We got the transfer initiated, and we actually, myself and one of my nurses actually took the dog with the owner to the new facility, and that dog ended up making a full recovery and going home.
That's amazing.
Was there for a few days, but watching that team do everything that they needed to do, and at the same time take care of that client on top of it was just incredible to watch. It's the
Yeah.
same as, we have critical patients that come in that, they're coming through the door and they need CPR. Watching that team just immediately jump and do everything that they need to do is just amazing to watch.
Yeah. How do you mentor or support your veterinary team, especially new techs and assistants entering the ER setting?
Um, Mentorship's very important. I think we all started from nowhere, right? In this field.
Yeah.
Even if you went to school, We were baby techs at one point, and for years and years and years, I saw a lot of baby techs coming in, and nobody would take the time with them. Nobody wanted to take the time out of their day. They would just rather do it themselves and get it done versus teaching somebody. So here, we're very lucky. We have a nurse trainer on staff as well. And part of her job is to work with these nurses, build skill with these nurses. We'll pair them up with some of our more senior nurses when they come on staff here to kind of show them the ropes. We actually have a program called Cultivate, which is designed to level nurses up to the next level. It's a set of skills that they have to be able to perform. And once they get sign-offs from a nurse trainer, we can level them up to the next level. Coming into VEG, all of our nurse candidates do a written test, which helps us to determine what level they're coming into us at, and where their skills lie, basically. So we kind of get a set point when they're coming in, and then we really work with people and the staff. And I've seen it at more than one VEG hospital. It's not just, indicative of here, but senior staff take these guys under their wings, and no single nurse here is above training or helping or answering questions. I think, for the newbie, asking the questions, asks the questions, that's the big important part.
I love that. What qualities do you look for in an ideal team member at VEG?
Here I'm looking for skill, obviously, for the nursing staff, but as much as I'm hiring for skill, I'm hiring for a culture fit, because we're so different here. And we recognize open concept is different than, most people have ever been in before. And it's not for everybody, and that's okay. We understand that it's so different. So I always like to have people come in and actually see the hospital and talk to people when they're in the interview process. Because I think until you actually see it, you don't really know what to expect. What does this open concept thing mean? But yeah, definitely, you've got to fit into the VEG culture here. Are we different? Yes. Do we have crazy little sayings that we say? Yes, we do. Do people look at us as some kind of crazy cult? If you want to call it a cult.
Yeah.
We stick together. We stick together. You'll see us at conferences. Everybody is proud to be a veggie. Everybody's wearing the shirts. Everybody's out there talking about it, telling their friends about it. So people are truly, happy working here. And that's what we want in somebody new, somebody who's got, good communication skills, somebody who can fit with our mission of helping people and their pets when they need it the most. People who have a want and desire to find a way to say yes as well. Thing for us, we're going to try and find a way to say yes to whatever it is. And, a lot of times that might mean, discounting bills and doing a lot for free over here, because people can't afford care. We want to ultimately help the patient. That's our big thing, is we want to help them. And that's why we all got into this business, right? We want to help the animals. We don't want to have to say no because you don't have them. And so there's a huge amount of community support, and just getting us out into that community that, that people recognize that they can come here and we will try and work with you, the best that we can, and do what we can for you.
I love that. Find a way to say yes. How do you handle burnout prevention and promote mental wellness within the emergency setting?
Yeah, I mean, here, we don't hope it's never going to happen, right? Because it does. It doesn't matter where you are. This is a very, very hard job to do. Very emotional, very physical job for a lot of people. And, we have set up as a company employee assistance programs that provides free counseling services if people need it. We've actually for our that might help with preventing burnout here. So we really promote hearing from our employees. Um, you know, check-ins with them regularly, make sure that people are doing okay, and just fostering that culture of openness. And if somebody is struggling, 9 times out of 10, I can see it already, even if they haven't even said anything. And I will go up to people and just ask them if I can talk to them for a minute and check in on them, do a check in with them. And sometimes they want to open up, sometimes they don't.
Hmm.
I would say probably 95% of the time they'll open up. If somebody actually asks them and recognizes it before they say it.
That's amazing. I just recently did a interview with a veggie from Denver, and she
Mhm.
opened up her own business, um, promoting and supporting technicians through mental health. Um, so that it's just really awesome to see how much support there is for not just the pets, but for our employees as well.
Mhm.
Um, what is the proudest moment you've had as a hospital manager at VEG?
Ah, there's a lot.
That's good to
um,
hear.
I think, yeah, I think really, um, from the beginning, I was doing all of the hiring in the beginning, bringing on the nursing team, bringing on our customer experience coordinator team, um, and I have watched in a relatively short period of time. We've only been here for about 14 months now. I have watched this team grow so much,
Mhm.
and I see the love between them all. I see them shouting out each other in our
Mm,
chat groups. I see the way they support and take care of each other. Um, and for me, that's just been like so heartwarming. I'm like, my baby birds are flying.
yeah, yeah,
um, he's got just blown me away with what they have done, what they have learned, what they can do. And as a team, they never let each other get down about things if it didn't go right. They will build each other up constantly. And that's all been part and parcel to our culture here. That's what we want. We want this culture of learning, this culture of teaching, this culture of build each other up. And
yeah.
that's what they do. And I'm so proud of them for that. Um, that they find the wins every day. We we had a crazy busy day just on Tuesday. A random Tuesday, we blew up in here, and at the end of the shift, one of my shift leads put into our group chat, called out every single person for something in particular they did that day during that crazy time, and just said, "I'm so proud to be working next to all of you." And then, that kind of thing just melts me when I see that. I'm like, this team appreciates each other. This team works well together, and they get it done. They get ER done over here. 50 cases a day will get ER done.
That's positive and motivating.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone aspiring to move into the leadership um, veterinary field?
Mm. Um, be prepared to stand, not above. That's, you know, I didn't get into this thinking it was going to be easy. Because dealing with people isn't easy. I think a lot of people get into vet med thinking, oh, I like animals and I don't like people. But boy, are you wrong. You have so much human interaction in this position. Um, you know, I didn't get into this thinking that I was going to come in wearing high heels and a suit, you know, and tootle around and just tell people what to do. Um, I, you know, wanted to build, I had to build a ton of empathy. I also had to build a skill in not having preconceived notions about people and projecting that onto my decision making. Um, you know, that was tough. I had to learn how to build, you know, we use something called an emotional bank account here. We say everybody has an emotional bank account. And we, myself as a leader, you know, and each one of the team, our job should be to fill your emotional bank account, because you can never make a withdrawal from an empty account, right? So if you're feeling crappy about things to begin with, and nobody has ever built you up and told you the good things that you are doing, how can you tell them that they're doing even worse now? You know? So, you know, building people up, listening, being available for that team, you know, those are huge things. Recognizing when and where you're needed, I think too, is a huge thing. There's a lot of times that, you know, I vary my schedule. I'm not always here during the day. You know, there was times I was here overnight because I knew the night team was short and they were going to need some support. And even if that's not technical support, it's moral support to know that they've got leadership who's got their backs and is going to be there and find them the help they need, or at least be there to support them during some of those harder shifts, for sure. So yeah, I think big thing is don't ever think that you're above anybody that works for you.
Very much in the service, servitude,
Yeah,
leadership
yeah,
mindset. Yeah.
yeah.
How can companies or individuals support the mission of hospitals like yours, whether through sponsorships, innovation, or community partnerships?
Um, you know, we're big into getting our name out into the community, obviously, and doing community events is one of our huge things. And we just want people to know that we're here. Um, you know, that we offer emergency services when they need them, um, and that we're never going to separate you from your pet over here. Um, and in turn, I think, you know, a lot of the community who has either been here or heard of us or knows somebody who has been here sees the good work that we do and what we do here, and they in turn will help, you know, fund our Veg Cares Fund. You know, we have a fund that people will donate to, companies and individuals, to help people in need when they have a financial crisis, to help take care of their pets. And we'll see, you know, people at different community events will see clients come in here and see somebody else who's struggling and offer to pay $100 on their bill, or pay $100 into the Veg Cares Fund and help these people out. Companies do the same thing. I think one of our biggest resources out there is our referring vet community. Building relationships with them has been huge, because we now have built trust, and they feel safe, you know, referring their pets over, their clients over. They appreciate, you know, being able to call, speak to us, speak to doctors, getting their records on time, and they know that their clients are going to be well taken care of while they're here. And, we do all kinds of, kind of pro bono work as well, with different shelters. And, a lot of our docs will go out and do a bunch of shelter spays and neuters for the day. We work with a lot of rescues as well. Same sort of thing. We, do a lot of services for them as well. So really, it really builds this bond, not only with businesses and, rescues and shelters, but it builds this bond of trust with a lot of people when you do those things.
I love that. I will also join in partnership with you all and promote, especially knowing you are at the helm of such a wonderful hospital. I will do all I can to use my platform to let the community know how well taken care of they are with you in your hospital.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you for giving us an inside look at what it takes to manage a thriving emergency veterinary hospital. Your leadership not only keeps the doors open, it keeps the hearts of pet parents beating a little steadier in their time of need. To all of our viewers and future sponsors, let this conversation be your call to action. Support the mission, support the medicine, and support the people behind it all. Thank you for joining us today, Melanie.
Thanks, Brian.
Hey guys, this is Ryan from Athletic Conceptual Training. We're serving the Livermore area and we really want to partner with you. Students, if you're ready to get better in basketball, volleyball, tennis, come and check us out. Look at our Instagram. We have a lot of content and we got more coming. We're one of the fastest growing company in the Bay Area and there's no other place to be. Parents, if you really want to unlock the potential of your student athlete, come and partner with us. Or if you yourself want to come out and get some training with Coach Ryan, don't hesitate. All you have to do is click the link below. Unlock your fullest potential. Be ready. Get up, act today. Let's see you soon.